Hey, everybody. It's Sasha Graham here. I'm the creator, the writer of Tarot of the Haunted House, a tarot deck that came out with Los Scarabeo in 2018. And I am here now walking you through the Suit of Cups in this video guide, the video version of a companion book, because the Tarot of the Haunted House only comes with a little white book. You guys have been asking me for this, so I'm finally indulging you. So let's start with the suit now. We'll do the Suit of Cups. So all of the aces in the Tarot of the Haunted House, you'll see actually Raven's hands. The reason being is because this aligns, of course, with the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith deck, in which you see all of the aces are a hand holding the symbol that represents each of the suits. Now, what and why is a hand in a card even an important symbol? Well, because a hand is often where you receive something. Now, the ace of any suit, not just cups, but any of the suits, the ace is literally the seed of that entire suit. So when we're looking at tarot, and especially an ace being the beginning of something, all the cards that spring after, the Two of Cups, the Three of Cups, the Four, all the way up to the 10 of Cups, when the story ends, it all springs from that ace and it goes back, and then it springs from the ace. So this idea that you're receiving something that has been made manifest in the material world from the invisible world, which is also why you often see clouds in traditional, in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck as well. A hand emerges from a cloud. That cloud is the space of manifestation. However, I wanted to do something a little different for Tarot of the Haunted House. So I thought it would be really interesting to see, especially in the Suit of Cups, Raven's hands actually making a cup shape to receive water. Cups align with elemental water, and to see her hands receiving the water into her palms. Now, the Suit of Cups aligns with the element of water because cups represent our emotions. It represents our feelings, love, art, and all emotionality. And of course, the element of water is the perfect alignment of our emotions, because water is always in flux. It's in a pond, it's evaporating, it's turning to mist, it's turning into a cloud, it's raining down water. Oh no, now it's frozen. So the element of water does a beautiful, eloquent job of expressing the nature of emotion, that it's constantly running through us. And it's constantly in flux and in change. And so that's why the Suit of Cups aligns with the element of water and our emotions. So here we have Raven receiving water, the element of water, under the light of the full moon, which of course affects the ebbs. The moon actually affects, as you know, the ebbs and flows of the liquid on the earth, the oceans of the earth. And I like also that the Suit of Cups is aspected as being feminine. And you can see even in the way that her palms are formed like a cup. A cup is receptive. A cup is something, a container that can hold, that will kind of bear the weight or create space for whatever it wants to fill inside of it. So that is why her hands are in that particular way. And I thought this was a beautiful way to kind of describe the Ace of Cups, the beginning of water, the beginning of something emotional. So the Two of Cups. The Two of Cups is traditionally, when it's represented graphically, it's such a beautiful romantic card. It is very similar to the Lovers in that we see traditionally a couple meeting each other. But because we're looking at a minor arcana, and we're looking at literally the Two of Cups, the Two of Water. So when something moves from the number 1 to the number 2, it's a division. Suddenly there's two things. There's energy. between those two things. It's a reflection. And so quite often the suit of cups represents, or the two of cups represents your heart's reflection in another person, place, or thing. And so because the kind of spirit animals aligned with the haunted house are angels and ghosts. I put Raven kind of in communion with a very handsome, dashing, romantic suitor angel. And he's descended down onto the porch. He's standing with her. Oftentimes, people look at this as really being a marriage card. I think that Two of Cups often speaks for those moments of those moments in time where it feels like you are engaging in kind of secret marriage vows, even though it might just be with you and another person and it's not legal or whatever, but kind of it's like that moment when your souls really do entwine. And that's why it's just such a lovely card. So we see her kind of entwining her soul with this handsome angel, and finding peace and reflection and communion, with someone that sees her entirely, and that she then sees entirely as well. So that's the Two of Cups. The Three of Cups. I was so excited when it came time to make this card, and I'll tell you why. The symbolism of the Three of Cups that I have added in comes very specifically from a movie that terrified me when I was a little kid, and from a scene from that movie. What I'm talking about is The Legacy. It's like late 70s horror movie starring Catherine Ross. So it's one of those traditional haunted house kind of gothic novella stories where a group of people have been summoned to this manor house in England. In the film, there's this like gorgeous model. She's one of the characters that comes to the house or has been summoned to the house. And there's a scene in the movie where she is alone swimming. Now remember, kids, never swim by yourself. This movie tells you exactly why you never want to go swimming by yourself. She dives into the swimming pool to take, a sexy swim. And once she's under the water, the energy of the house freezes over the top of the pool. She finds she can't escape. Of course, she drowns and dies. It's just, and that terrified me. My grandmother had a swimming pool I would swim in every summer, all summer long. And, it was right up there with Jaws in terms of I was afraid, if I went under the water that I could come back up. Anyway, I loved the idea for the haunted house, that this metaphor of being buried by the water of your own emotion. And how many of us have often been so emotion filled that we couldn't actually kind of get to the thing that we wanted. So this traditional symbolism from the Three of Cups traditional card is in the background painting. So you can see the three figures raising their cups. That's a familiar graphic from the tarot cards. But though this is something that Raven so desperately wants, she's finding herself not able to kind of get out of her own way. And it's something that I think it looks at the darker side of the Three of Cups. And cups in tarot tend to, because of the way Pamela Coleman Smith drew them on the Rider-Waite-Smith card, she drew them very happy and sunny. The suit of cups tends to be a very light and playful suit. But I think it does the nature of emotion a disservice, because when we're looking at the nature of emotion, we have to understand all of the different emotions we flow through, right? Not just the good ones. So this is a darker take on the Three of Cups, wanting so desperately to be part of love and friendship and good times and companionship, but being stuck. And so often in many ways, this card is a great visual depiction of what it feels like to be incredibly depressed. And anybody who suffered with depression, one of the weird and interesting things about depression is that sometimes when you're in the throes of it, it's the lack of being able to have an emotion. It's the wanting to feel love or wanting to feel pleasure, but it's just not in you at that time. So this card is a pretty great graphic description of kind of floating in this other world and wanting to break free, but not necessarily being able to. So yeah, it's a dark take on a traditionally happy card, but it's the haunted house. What did you expect? The Four of Cups. This was an easy card to design, to come up with, because traditionally the Four of Cups shows a figure under a tree who looks like he might be meditating, he might be a little depressed, and he's kind of so distracted by his thoughts that he doesn't see that a beautiful gift is about to appear. What's great about this card is it reminds anybody who looks at the card to like open up your vision, right? There's always opportunities before us that we may have not seen, and it just is a reminder to take a better look. I thought that it would be fun to put Raven at the table and have a creepy hand bringing out a cup. And of course, in the haunted house, most of the cups are going to be holding the wine that comes from the vineyards surrounding the spooky house. So it's a pretty straight up Four of Cups. And it's up to you, the reader, if what is being offered to her is something that she will want to take part of or pass. So moving along with that idea that there are vineyards surround on the property of the haunted house, the Five of Cups is going along with the traditional interpretation of the challenge of the Five of Cups being addiction, being cups full of something maybe you shouldn't be drinking. And so we see Raven in the wine cellar, and the wine is all around her and she's very miserable. So the question is, so what are you going to do? You're going to like succumb and just drink the rest of the drinks and continue on this kind of dark path? Or will you turn around and choose to do something different with your life? And it's worth remembering that in tarot, the fives are always the halfway point and therefore always the challenge card. So here we have the challenge of the emotion, which is so often seen in our own lives in the form of addiction, whether it be to actual substances, to negative behaviors, to dark people, and our own bad behavior. We're all addicted to lots of different stuff. And that's why we're all here trying to like break the cycle, break the pattern, right? So that is the Five of Cups. Now for the Six of Cups. Once again, we see a beautiful depiction of Raven and a small child, which is evocative of Raven and her younger self. There's a lot of symbolism in this particular card that aligns with the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith imagery. Specifically in this card, we see the hierarchy between Raven at being tall and kind of larger and giving a gift down to this child. Now, the reason there's always a hierarchy in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck between higher and lower is because 6 represents the heart center of the tree of life. So if we're looking at the heart as kind of the energy in the beating heart of the tree, it is where everything gets passed, not only from above to below, but also from below back above. So it's this synergistic place, which is the heart center. So the cups in this card are bursting and full of flowers to represent the manifestation of gifts of the heart. So everything means something in tarot. So usually when a cup is full, it means that something beautiful has grown there. And the landscape behind them is evocative of beautiful turn of the century zoos. So traditionally, if you had a manor house and a vineyard, you would probably also have at least, a small petting zoo just for your own private enjoyment. So that also harkens back to the romance of childhood, the fascination that we would all have for zoos and animals of our very own. On to the Seven of Cups. So this Seven of Cups card is very traditional in its imagery. It almost matches identically to their Rider-Waite-Smith, except that we see it's Raven once again, and she's looking up at the cards, the cups that are in the air. One of my favorite ways to understand the Seven of Cups, and it's something I've written about extensively in The Magic of Tarot, where I talk about the seven sacred cornerstones of constant magic, is that each of those cups align with a major arcana card. And so you can kind of visually figure out, or it's a fun thing to do, like go around the cups and see. So really what we're looking at is the Seven of Cups, and that's seven majors. So it's kind of a gateway card. It also represents obviously potentials, ideas, visions, fantasies, choice, a lot going on in this card. And that I'm not going to do a deep dive on it because that's a masterclass in and of its own. I could go on for hours about the seven cards that are evoked in this. But it is that moment, that mystical moment where Raven has a choice. What you're going to do. So if we look at the Eight of Cups, we see that she has decided to move away from something. Once again, this Eight of Cups aligns very strongly with the traditional symbolism found on the Rider-Waite-Smith Eight of Cups. We see a figure moving away from Eight Cups as if she's actually the space that's left there. It's almost as if she was a cup that turned into herself and she moved up. It's traditionally can be understood as the first kind of step on the hermit's journey to the top of the hill. So we understand that there is a moment where a journey has begun. It may be an emotional journey, and that things have been left behind. And one of my favorite ways to look at this card is that you're giving up what you have in order to get something that you need. Now, just go back to that again quick, right? Giving up what you have in order to get what you need. Having the strength to kind of release the things that you are comfortable with and familiar with. It shows great strength of character. It shows the turning of the chapter. And it's really turning over a new leaf. And this is why we also see an eclipse happening in the card. It is that rare moment where everything changes. It is very much a threshold. And yeah, it's a beautiful space to be in. It's a strong, beautiful card. The Nine of Cups. So the Nine of Cups in Tarot of the Haunted House, he kind of really comes off as a bit of a creeper. I'm not gonna lie. So we have the literal Nine of Cups behind him, as if it is a painting or graphic on the wall. And that is traditionally that your wish will come true, that you will get exactly what it is that you want. But instead of that genie in a bottle, we have the return of the butler. And he is there to kind of, and that's what butlers do, right? They grant your wish. You're like, Smithers, bring me a bottle of Jack Daniels and a banana split sundae. And 5 minutes later, he's there with whatever you've ordered. So I like this. I like the idea that he would be the one, that the butler would be the one granting your desire, and that there's this sense that he's also taking great pleasure in your desire coming true. Now, that actually has a deeper meaning, because in tarot, when you look through the occultist's mindset, you are the eyes of the universe, but that your experience in your life is also the universe experiencing itself. Therefore, when something you've wanted and desired and dreamed of, when that comes true for you, or when you make that happen for yourself, and when it, to use everybody's favorite word, when it manifests, you're not just enjoying it on your own. The universe is experiencing your enjoyment too. And that universe might be divinity, creativity, whatever name you want to give it. So that when you experience something, you're not experiencing something alone. There's a duality to that. And so that's why this butler is sort of like in on the game as well. And then also the tablecloth underneath the 9 cups that are stacked up seem to be hiding something. And that just speaks to the old, be careful of what you wish for, because you just might get it. 9 times out of 10, when you wanted something for a long time and it happens, there's always unexpected consequences. typically when what you want comes true and it really was meant to be, and you were in alignment with it, the unexpected consequences tend to be mind-blowing, delicious, fantastic. And so, it's even better than you ever imagined it. But oftentimes we get the things that we want, and they're like some crazy things that come along with it. Challenging stuff comes along with it, because when our dreams come true, everything often changes. And then that creates a new series of challenges. So that's what that long tablecloth, or the hidden things that we didn't recognize or that we didn't anticipate in our journey of desire. And 9 is always a wish fulfillment card as well. So now the 10 of Cups. This is interesting because I know that Los Scarabeo had to bring in a colorist to finish this, to get the deck in on time. So it's interesting, in this 10 of Cups, the coloring is quite different. And we actually see Raven in the traditional mother and father position, not with the Knight of Cups, but with the Knight of Pentacles, who we will meet in future videos. And so the Rainbow of Cups above represents pleasure and delight and the happily ever after. We see 2 twins that represent the children, theoretically manifest from the couple, dancing. We'll meet those 2 twins in the 2 of Pentacles. Anybody familiar with the deck will recognize that they are, in fact, the twins from The Shining, which are, of course, I think the twins from a Diane Arbus photograph. So everything references something else, right? But so it's the 2 creepy twins, Raven and her handsome Knight of Pentacles, who she's ultimately, at least in this card, settled down with and created a happy family. So it's the happily ever after card. But of course, there is no such thing as a happily ever after. So we have to go back to the Ace and begin again as the cycle renews. But as the cycle is renewing, let's take a walk through the 4 court cards. In the Suit of Cups, we see in the Page of Cups, and this is a theme through all of the pages in Tarot of the Haunted House, a young child. And pages typically represent that energy of youth before the hormones have kicked in. So it's that time in our life where we're really juicy and creative. We're not kind of distracted by our hormones and our increasing awareness of whatever sex we are drawn to. And so we're not distracted by all that stuff. And so it's really about the intelligence of being able to pay attention to what's right in front of you. And the Golden Dawn spoke about the pages as really kind of being kind of like the ace of the entire court cards, in that the page is the font of the energy of the court. So this is the Page of Cups, and all of them carry the magic of their suit in their hand. And so that's why we see her at a waterfall and just kind of beguiled by the quality of water, the emotion, and everything that's possible. Now, the Knight of Cups traditionally is the suitor. So the Knight of Cups is that sweet talking, romance, poetic kind of seduction. He's like the most romantic, flowery, feel good, kind of represents that. So a knight represents teen energy. And the teen energy of water and the Knight of Cups, the way I've always understood it, is just very much that romantic person who could sit and literally stare into your eyes all night long, without barely blinking, and just see you and tell you all sorts of lovely flowery things. The downside of these kinds of, personalities or characters, or I find that typically anybody who's so willing to do that with you kind of overnight also finds the beauty in every other person as well. So they tend not to be the most stable of relationships, but they're certainly fun while they last. And this Knight of Cups, it's literally Raven's point of view right before the Two of Cups. So this is the Knight descending on her portico. coming to her. So it's almost as if, if you looked up and saw a vision of an angel coming to you. And I think that that's what poetry uh, often does. And poetry is otherworldly, and the the way it makes us feel as if we've been transported. And so I like that idea of this kind of visioning card of the Knight of Cups. Um, and he's definitely cute. I was really interested too in putting like some foxy characters inside the deck. Uh, and yeah, kind of like teen dreams, because they're teenagers and we want to remember our teen dreams. Okay, Queen of Cups. Now, I'll start explaining this card by telling you that I patterned this card specifically after the inner courtyard at the Frick Museum in New York City. So up on the Upper East Side, about 10 blocks south of the Metropolitan Museum of Art, is this really beautiful museum, the Frick. And of course, the museum was originally this huge mansion that Frick, I forget his first name, lived in. And now it's an art museum, but it's really cool. It's often overlooked because it's a smaller museum. What's cool about it is that it is this gentleman's was once a home, and also that it does not admit children under 12 years old. So it's a quieter museum where you can really kind of commune with the house, commune with the art. There's Rembrandts and all sorts of wonderful things there. And in the middle of the house is this, or the middle of the house, it has this big courtyard. It's very European, this big, like with bubbling water and fountains, and it's just gorgeous. And I thought that for the Queen of Cups to just manifest somewhere, it would be inside of one of these fountain courtyards, but inside a house, not outside. So that's what we have. This is literally the portal of the Queen of Cups emerging from a fountain. She's connected to water. The Queen of Cups is traditionally the most empathetic card of the deck, traditionally painted as the Queen of the Ocean, meaning that she has the ability to understand the depth of not only her own emotion, but everybody's emotion. And therefore she's this very understanding figure. So that's her emerging from the font of water. The King of Cups. So this is our final court card in the suit of cups. The landscape for this card in particular, I took from another real place, which is the Hearst Castle, called in San Simeon, California. So this is the beautiful castle that was built by William Randolph Hearst. If you get the chance to go there, don't miss out. It's an incredible tour. It's an incredible property. It's so Tarot of the Haunted House in every single way. It's just an amazing. Google it, see it. It's fabulous. And in the subterranean quarters of, well, he has two incredible swimming pools at San Simeon. One is outside, and it's like very Roman with all these statues. But then in the basement of the castle, he has this indoor pool that literally is just extraordinary. It's Gothic and fabulous. So those were the photos that I was sending to Mirka when we were making the deck. The idea of traditional, beautiful, the artwork and the statues behind of traditional, that Roman beauty, because it's the King of Cups, and cups aligns with beauty and emotion and art. So he's kind of sitting there at the edge of this indoor swimming pool inside the haunted house, overseeing the domain of beauty and dreams, reflection in a pool. There's this idea so often in all of the court cards of cups that they are the place from which the visions themselves spring. And it certainly feels to me like the point of view for you who's reading the cards, like he's looking at you as if he's just dreamt you into life. One of my favorite ways when I was like young and remembering how to read the cards, I would always equate the King of Cups as like the movie director the Steven Spielberg card was how I used to call him, because the King of Cups is the artist who can see his vision through to the end. So it's not a struggling artist. It's the very capable artist, and somebody who trusts the visions that come to them and then do what it takes in order to see it through into its final like process. And so that is this King of Cups. And so I hope this brought you a little bit of clarity and understanding in the suit of cups. Stick around for the next video where we look at the suit of pentacles from Tarot of the Haunted House. Thank you. Oh, and if anybody has questions, put them in the comment section and I'll totally make another video in the coming months, and I'm happy to answer any questions or talk about anything you guys are curious about. All right, thanks.